welcome to Dream It, Dare It, Do It, Live the Life You Want. This is Jasmine and Beauté, who decided she wanted to come on this episode. This is the second episode that she's like, right before recording, she's like, take me. So everybody, thank you for joining me yet again on this episode. And believe it or not, this is the last episode of season 4. And today my guest is Drissia. Hi, Drissia.
Hi, Jasmine. It's just like, it's beautiful that we have this time together.
Yeah. And you're going to be my final, you're like the ultimate season 4 episode. So I want people to get to know Drissia, that I can't say the last name. I'm going to try it. Schroeder-Hohenwarth.
Something like that, but not quite that.
Can you say it for me?
Drissia Schroeder-Hohenwarth.
Oh my God, I would have never said that. That's what you write. That's why often you write Drissia S-H. It's like, just call me Drissia. So I'm happy that you're here. I'm happy that you accepted. Just for a background for the listeners, Drissia and I met during a conference. There was a conference in the UK for the three principles. And I knew of Drissia, of course, because, you know, like, we're in the community and I knew of her. People would talk, hey, did you see Drissia? And of course, Drissia and I are both French. We also, our first language is French, although we're now talking to you guys in English. And so there was a French webinar, and we went on the webinar, and I went on the webinar because Drissia was actually hosting it. And that's how I met her. So thank you. It's been a few months now that we've known each other.
Yes.
And Drissia, I'd like you to tell people what you do and where you're from.
Where I'm from, I start with that.
Go for it.
I'm French. I live in Germany. So my husband is German. That's why I have such a long name. That sounds German. But I'm French, and my parents are from Morocco. And yes, I've got a very diverse background, and I travel a lot. So each time I'm asked, so where are you, and where are you coming from, and blah blah blah. I need to take the time to think about that. So that's about at the moment I'm in Germany. And what do I do? I work with companies. I coach leaders, I coach leadership teams, and I coach leaders in their organizations in whatever they have, in whatever capacity, sometimes in training, sometimes in culture change projects, sometimes in strategy workshops. So, and I work with the human beings who are in organizations. So I'm more on the human side than on the business side. But it's quite useful when you are on the human side, because the result is on the business side as well. So, but my focus is more on the people than on what they do.
What brought you to the principle, to the, like, what guided you to the principles?
Yeah, what guided me? I like this question, because it's really like one step after the other. Is I am a psychologist from a background, and the way I started to work was in the clinical environment, in a psychiatric environment, and And then I went from there to the corporate environment, which is quite an interesting step. But I found some commonalities. And so working in the business side and human resources and working with people all these years, I kind of missed the psychological part, which was where I came from. And then, so I explored more, and I came back to, after a while in the corporate world, I came back to where I came from, to the psychology. I trained as a coach, I did all that. And all this way, I had the feeling it's not it. There's something I'm not seeing. And that guided me with this. There's something that I'm not seeing. So I was still searching and searching, because I was a psychologist. I worked that way. So I did all sorts of trainings in this direction, and I could talk about all sorts of things in this field, but I was still missing something and I couldn't see it. And at the age of 35, I had a stroke, and it stopped my thinking for a while. And I felt so peaceful. I had never known this feeling. I had never had that before. I was forced to stop thinking, and it was such a relief. I'm 53 now, so I had some time to explore. But when I left hospital and I started I restarted my life, basically. I was intrigued about this quietness of the mind. I was intrigued about this peace I experienced in one of the most challenging periods of my life. But I couldn't put words on that. I didn't know what it was. So I started searching, but in a different direction. I was not searching anymore in the psychological field, but I felt there is, in this emptiness that I experienced, there was something to see. And this is where I slowly but surely came step by step towards this space of more peace of mind and a more quiet. And I went into retreats, silent retreats. I enjoyed it immensely. I went into places where it talked about spirituality and this kind of things. I spent some time with Byron Katie, Eckhart Tolle, all these kind of people. And step by step, I came across the 3 principles, and I stayed there because I found what I was looking for. The 3 principles put together for me the psychological part and understanding that I brought with this part of magic that I didn't see but felt very, very deeply when I was in hospital. And all of a sudden I had words to put on my experience. And I had a different kind of understanding and a different level of an understanding of both my psychology and my true nature, my deeper, more peaceful nature. And that was fascinating. It was like, oh, that's the missing piece I was looking for.
Yeah, it's kind of like we kind of go, oh, that's why that happened in this. And like it just all of a sudden clarifies, eh? They connect, makes things just connect together. It's like,
yes, exactly. And also with the 3 principles, the psychologist that I was found also a framework and an understanding that made sense.
Yeah.
I was very, very much into like, oh no, this does not make sense. This does not feel right. Oh, it's very judgmental, but at the same time, very choosing where I put my feet in. And when I found that the work of Sidney Banks and the three principles and Dick Battinger and all this world, I thought, oh my God, it feels like this is where I belong.
Yeah. Yeah, it reminds me, I think that we all have, a different path where at whatever I think that of course I'm going to say find the explanation, the work of Sydney Banks, we kind of like connect things, but we don't like what I'm noticing is that it was always there. It's just like when I met it, it just intellectually all made sense, right?
Yes.
But I can see how I've done things when I was younger that I was listening to
Yes.
my inner knowing, and I didn't understand why I was doing it. I was just doing it. And I've been called stubborn, and I've been called many things. And then I got caught up in the judgment of thyself and others. And then that would stop me from seeing the inner wisdom that was at work. And as I began working with this, I started to see, oh man, I did that there, and I did that there, and I did that there. So it's kind of like, even if, and now I'm going to be talking to the listeners, even if you don't truly understand the three principles right now intellectually, know that you're already using them. You've already listened to your inner wisdom. You've already listened to your inner knowing, whatever you want to call it, but you're already doing it.
Yes.
And that for me is cool when we're talking to clients, to just know that they don't know yet, but they're already doing it. They're already listening.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of that, is to discover that what we are looking for is already there. Mm-hmm. And it's just that we look in the wrong direction. And I talk a lot about wisdom with my clients, because that's the most important thing there is. And we can get lost. I can get lost in my humanness, and they can get lost in their humanness as well. But knowing that deep inside we have lots of wisdom, we have wisdom, and the wisdom of the universe available to us, not only our own wisdom, that would be not enough. That would be too small. And
what if you had to describe wisdom, if somebody would ask you, because like this is what occurred to me as you were talking. It was like, oh yeah, I used to think that wisdom came with age. I used to think that. I don't think I think that anymore.
I certainly don't think that. Because I've seen people at all age accessing, so able to access their wisdom very quickly, and others who don't see it, or just where. So it's like the wisdom that is available to us anytime is covered sometimes, like covered with fear, with insecurities, with memories, with thoughts, with with a bunch of thoughts and stuff that is like covering our glasses. We both,
Yeah.
and then you don't see anything. But the wisdom, if you clean the glasses, you start seeing things. And it's not something that you learn or you get. It's something that is there, and that is sending small signals all the time. Hey, Drissia, listen. Why don't you listen? I can remember, just like you, some moments and situations where I thought, how did I do that? Why did I do that? So how did I come here? And it was so obvious, and small things. I was in an interview. I was younger in an interview, preparing for an interview for a big job. I got the job at the end, but I came too late to the interview, and I was so stressed out. So like rushing, because everybody was a kind of assessment center and all this stuff. Everybody was waiting for me, and I was like sweating. And before I came into the room, I had a moment where my body stopped, and I didn't know where this came from. And I had a thought, it's like, you're too late anyway, just calm down. There's nothing, just calm down. And it was an inner voice that came from somewhere. And I stopped, breathed, and came in. And I was so relaxed the whole day. I apologized, I came in. And if this voice didn't come, this voice of wisdom didn't come, I would have been rushing, sweating all over the place while arriving. And I probably would have needed 1 or 2 hours to calm down until I do the job the whole day. And wisdom is there. And sometimes we look for it and we don't see it. And sometimes it just comes from out of the blue. It's magic. And for whatever reason, I heard the voice, and sometimes I don't hear it.
I want to come back to something you said earlier about the silence. Because I kind of recognized something with me. I've been single for a long time, and so I spent a lot of time alone, right? Like alone with myself and my dogs and my pets, and and I heard my thinking a lot, and I joke around and I say the first 9 years I cried. The first 9 years of me being single, I cried, But the big thing that I've learned is that, first of all, now I love that I'm alone, because I'm never alone really, but I learned how to be with myself, be with my thinking, be with silence, and I think that it's underrated. I think it's underrated. I think a lot of people are afraid of being alone. But really, when you're alone, you can just hear your thinking, right? And then you're dealing with yourself. You're constantly dealing with, okay, now I'm seeing this thought. Like if I look at the first 9 years of my singlehood, it was kind of like, nobody's gonna love me, nobody wants me, I'm this, I'm that. Like all of the thinking that I had around the fact that I was single and what it all meant about me was what really made me cry. It wasn't the fact that I was alone or single. It was all the thinking I had around it, right?
Yeah.
And I think everybody should be alone at some point in time in their lives so that they can deal with that and see and be able to see that, because when you're around people, then you're dealing with their thinking too, right? So now you're, and it's easier to say, oh, it's because of you, it's not because of me, it's your thinking. If I was alone, I wouldn't have that. No, trust me, if you were alone, you'd have yours.
You would. Mhm.
So I think that you were forced to, right? Like you were forced to quietness because of the stroke, right?
Yeah, but it's fascinating, this inner dialogue that we have with ourselves. It's the source of our trouble, always. Whether we are alone or not alone, it could be the source of trouble as a leader when you are in a team, or like you can be, or in a relationship, and we could be the source of our greatest happiness and creativity and beauty and everything, but we can also be so hard on ourselves and so struggling with our own thoughts. But I was not aware of that before I had this experience. I was not aware of the how much I was thinking. I was not aware of that. Yes, and yes, oh my God, the when we start slowing down in our head and understand what's going on in our head, either coming to quiet, which is not so easy as an exercise, or coming to a place where we just observe what is in our head and don't get scared of that, because we can scare ourselves a lot with our own thoughts, and I'm totally with you. So that's an amazing experience to have, just to be with ourselves and observe our own inner world. But we can be scared of that when we don't understand how it works. Yeah, because it's like, oh my God, all I'm thinking. So no wonder we tend to distract ourselves to get, I don't know, sugar, alcohol, parties, or whatever we use to avoid this facing our own thoughts. But learning to deal with that is actually one of the most beautiful things I've learned with the principles and the time before with the other teachers I had after the stroke, is to understand what's going on in my head. And it's quite interesting, because as a psychologist, you could have thought, yeah, what did you study for if you didn't know that? But the interesting thing is the way I was taught psychology was different, because I was taught to go into my thought and analyze it, my thought, someone else's thought, but taking a step back and not taking everything seriously that I think, or listening to the wisdom deeper behind the thoughts, behind the noise, beneath the noise, or wherever it is outside of the noise. That's something I started to learn when did I start? 10, 15 years ago. And this was what I was looking for. And that's beautiful. It's not always easy. I can get caught up.
Oh yeah, me too. Yeah, we can still get caught up. I mean, but there's, like I was telling you, so before the call, we talked just a little bit, and you know, one of the things that I'm experiencing now is anxiety. And people who've been listening to my podcast know that, I was a big anxious girl, and I have been spending more of my time in calm, in this beautiful space of everything's okay. There's nothing wrong. Actually, as I'm saying it, and it's already calming myself down. It's hilarious that like how instant that can happen. But I can still experience it, and I recognize that familiar place that I used to spend a lot of time in. And now I'm just like, I just have a very low tolerance for it now. It's just kind of like now it shows up and I'm like, okay, no, 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 I don't want this. And then and that just brings me into a tailspin and it just makes it grow. So I can just go, okay, no, it's okay. It is happening. Life goes on. It's gonna pass. It always has. Every time it has passed.
Yeah. For me, one of the most powerful learning of these principles is, as Sydney Banks says, is not to be afraid of my experience. And because whatever I'm experiencing, whether it's anxiety or sadness or anger or guilt or whatever, it's like we all have the whole range. It is, I know it's, first of all, I know it's not me, it's just a moment I'm experiencing. And that makes a huge difference. I am not anger. I'm just experiencing anger. Yeah. And that's a huge difference. And you are not anxiety or anger. You're just experiencing anxiety. And that's amazing.
I was speaking with there was another guest that I had on my podcast, and it reminds me of what she said on there, where she was looking at the translation in, I don't remember which language, but she was looking at a translation and they had translated "I am anxious" with "anxiety is upon me."
Yes.
Like, their translation was totally different. And yeah, that kind of like, just like sadness is upon you, or anxiety is upon you, or the black clouds are upon, outside right now, but we know it's going to pass.
Yeah. Yeah. And when I when I work with my clients, I really see the difference on how they lead, how the teams work together, the organizations, because when they start to understand that, they forgive each other, they forgive themselves, their frailties more easily, because they just know, okay, this is going to pass, and we all have this experience. I'm more than that, and I know that deep inside I'm okay. And deep inside you are okay. Yeah, we're just experiencing right now something that is happening between us, but this is not who we are. And that helps a lot to forgive ourselves and others in situations where it gets a bit tricky or we get caught up in something.
Yeah. So let me ask you. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry.
Please, no, go for it.
Well, I was going to ask you, just because, my podcast is Dream It, Dare It, Do It, Live the Life You Want. I wanted to ask you, because I like to ask that to people, what it is to them to live the life that they want. If you've ever thought about it, like.
Yes, I have. For me, it means to follow a kind of calling, follow a kind of intuition of the kind of life I want, because because the follow living the life I want is a bit tricky, because my head can make up some stories about what my head thinks I want or I need, or so if I get caught up in some stories about what I think I need right now, or I should have or not have, that can be very tight and misleading sometimes. Then it brings me somewhere else, and it's my ego wanting something that might not be exactly what is good for me, or what is my next step. And so living the life I want is for me just being more in contact with my intuition, with a deeper wanting, a deeper knowing, and less with what my head wants.
Yeah.
And I know the difference when it gets exhausting, when I feel like I'm not aligned, there's a misalignment, then I know like something is not right. Where am I? Where am I? What am I doing here?
Yeah, I
And
think the key word in what you just said is exhausting. It gets
yes,
exhausting. You
yeah,
know?
because you judge yourself for not doing or not being, and you were always so observing what you're doing, and it's quite exhausting.
Yeah.
And that's why the I want is misleading. It's more living a life of humanness and wisdom. Yeah. And sometimes I get caught up, and sometimes I feel aligned again, and then I know, okay, I'm good, on track. That's sometimes I'm off track and feel like this is not, I'm not on the right path yet.
Yeah, I've been the dream it, dare it, do it, live the life you want thing has been with me since mid 20s, early 30s. And it's been a process, it's been a process for me. Because I didn't know back then, well, oh, I want to be a singer. I want to be a popular singer. And then I'd, go for that. And then I wouldn't make it, it was like, but this is what I want. I want it like this. I want it like that. I want it to show up in a specific way. And well, didn't happen. It's kind of like it just didn't happen. And then I got into my head, and I was like, and then I went into the pity party and oh, la, 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 la. And but I saw, I can, if I go back, if I look at the dream it, dare it, do it thing, I can see it has evolved into I just want to be at peace with myself and be myself and trust myself.
Yeah.
And so whatever happens, I can deal with it.
Yeah. And also what's beautiful about living life is that we also get, we are not the only ones to decide. And sometimes it's beautiful, and sometimes I feel it's less beautiful, but we are not the ones who decide. It's just like life has also something to say about our life. So it's not all on me. It's not all about me, and it's not all, just like the way I want. And the dance with life. It's like, okay, life, what do you have for me? So I'm like, I'd like that. Do you think it's a good way, or it's a good plan? And then you go there and you dance, and you think, oh no, stepping on your feet and it doesn't feel right. No, wait, let's go back. I guess we were not, but the rhythm was not good between life and me. And I feel when I'm in the rhythm with life, with what it wants, it feels so good. I go into it, and I'm not judgmental about what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And sometimes gets disconnected. And this is where I know, no, wait a second, where did I miss something here?
Yeah. Yeah. It was just looking and seeing truth was a big thing for me. Like just seeing, oh, like there were things like that I like for some reason manipulation comes to mind. You know, like when I was younger, I would manipulate things to have it my way. You know, like, and I can sometimes see it show up again. Like I can, like on my day-to-day life, I'm like, what am I going to do? And I can see myself going into my head, I'm going to do this, and I'm trying to manipulate it, right? I'm trying, okay, this is going to happen, they're going to react like this, and I'm going to go like this. Like I'm just mapping it out in my head, right? But then owning that I don't want to do that. You know, like that's it's an ugly truth. I tag it as ugly, right? I'm the one who does
Mhm,
that.
mhm.
And I don't want that. Like if I can see that I don't want that and follow my truth, then to use your words, I remain aligned,
Mhm.
right?
And what I love about that is this alignment is also an alignment with the universe. So when you feel that everything is connected, and it feels, when I'm in flow, when things are going smoothly, when my creativity is open and productive, when I feel connected, and so my own, what I want and what the universe wants, just come together, and it's peaceful. And
Wow, Drissia, this was exactly what I needed today. This was exactly the right conversation for me today. I'm happy that we proceeded.
yes, very nice. Yes, thank you. Thank you for inviting me. I love this conversation because there's there's so much depth in those three principles.
Yeah.
So much depth. The thought, consciousness, and mind, the three of them together is like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And we keep seeing, like we keep, like the more we look into this direction, the more we see.
Yeah.
Like I'm still surprised at the things that I see and the things that I think I don't see. And then I'm like, no, but you see this, but I think I don't, but you see this, you know? And it's just really interesting to just keep deepening the conversation. I love it. I love it. I'm not tired of it at all.
Mm. Yeah, and there is also wisdom behind that for us to keep deepening the conversation, to keep deepening the seeing. And it feels different from searching.
Yes.
Searching for answers, searching for an understanding of life, searching for meaning of life feels different. It's yeah, it's less gentle, it's tiring. And deepening the seeing and of life, of wisdom, of the expanding the consciousness that we have, and deepening the wisdom is a more gentle process.
Yeah. Hmm. I can see it. Like I have friends that, we have these, I call them the 3P conversations, And you know, they've been with me through this journey of understanding the three principles, and I can see them seeing now. And they could be saying the exact same words that they were saying, but they're coming from a deeper place, and it just makes total difference. It's beautiful to see. It's beautiful to hear also, because you can hear the difference between, you know, the depth levels of where they're at. I don't know. Michael Neal says higher levels, what I'm calling the
depth. Yeah, I like
yeah,
the depth of it.
yeah.
Yes,
I like the depth too.
and you feel it.
Yeah.
You can see, you can hear, you can feel it. And that's something we can feel also, like a different kind of energy. Sometimes I come into a coaching conversation, and my it's like you feel like the client is up in his head. It's like so much. It's the vibration. You would feel it, and then it goes down and down and down and down. Sometimes I ask them, so from 0 to 10, where are you in your mental activity right now and in your presence? Are you present and completely calm, or are you way up there? I was like, oh gosh, I'm at 8. I was like, okay, so let's see if if you can go from 8 to 7. So what do you need from 8 to 7? Oh, so breathing, like, and then we start going deeper, because the conversation we have when our head is like up at 10 is not the same.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel the same, and doesn't have the depth, the quality, and the creativity that we can have when we are really grounded and more calm.
Drissia, I love this conversation. Thank you so much for accepting my invitation.
Thank you. Thank you so much for the invitation and for this beautiful conversation.
I hope that everybody who's listening, you're feeling this space, because we're both enjoying it. I can see it in Drissia's face. And but before we leave, if somebody would like to get in touch with you, how could they do that?
I am on LinkedIn.
Okay.
And Instagram and Facebook, so they can reach out there. I have a website. It's called DSH International HR.com.
Okay.
I'm preparing a beautiful retreat for May. So I had one in September, and they can reach out if they want to spend some time with a beautiful group of people, and for 3 days in Mallorca. And yeah, I'm on social media. They can reach out, and on my website. So I look forward to any conversation.
I'm also going to put the link to her website in the description to everybody who's listening. And again, thank you so much. I hope that you have a great day. And I'm going to tell everybody else to dream it, dare it, do it, live the life you want. And I will see you in season 5. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.